Hi, I'm Melanie, and my material is rust. Rust is another name for iron oxide, which occurs when iron or an alloy that contains iron, like steel, is exposed to oxygen and moisture. The formation of rust is the metal deteriorating as tiny pieces of it flake off. Rust can form on any object containing iron. Iron is the most commonly used metal, so many everyday items are susceptible to rust, like cars, fire hydrants, dumpsters, tools, boats, or pipes, etc. Factors that inhibit rust. Many metal items are covered in paint or treated with chemical rust inhibitors or rust preventatives that will keep rust from forming until the coating wears off, is scratched off, peels, or cracks. Other items may be galvanized or coated in a thin layer of metal that will not corrode. Also, metal alloys that contain small amounts of iron, such as stainless steel, may rust more slowly or may not rust at all. Everything with a significant amount of iron in it exposed is going to rust eventually, because most protective coatings are not permanent. Factors that aid rust. Moisture, salt, and heat will all speed up the process, so objects will rust faster near the ocean or in rainy and/or humid environments. Also, if a metal object is covered with a protective coating such as paint, prolonged exposure to the elements will cause the coating to wear off. Also, items that are thinner will rust faster than items that are thicker. These factors drastically affect the speed of rusting. For example, here in California, if you scratch your car, you don't have to worry too much about if it will rust because we don't get that much rain or snow. But when I was looking online, there was one girl that had a story. She accidentally scratched her friend's car, and the scratch was about 2 by 2 inches. It was during the snow season, and there was lots of salt on the road. So within 4 days, that scratch had completely rusted over. It's very difficult to determine exactly how long it's going to take something to rust. So when in doubt, get good reference of exactly what you want to put in your illustration. And if you can't get exactly what you want to put in your illustration, familiarize yourself with other things that have rusted, maybe for a long amount of time, so you can better judge how much rust should be on the object. Here are some things to consider if you want to add rust to your illustration. First of all, rust will not be uniform across your whole object. Be sure to make it seem random. Rust will also almost never be the only damage to your object. As you can see here, this rust formed because the paint flaked off. So the rust will only be in the places where the paint came off. In this example, there were 2 layers of paint, it looks like, so after the second layer scratched off, then it started to rust. On painted metal, rust will only form where the paint has been scratched away. As you can see, here's a really good example here. There was this big scratch of paint, and the rust is only there. If a metal object has been coated with rust inhibitors, the object will probably rust from the seams, which they often miss. And this is really common on things like water pipes. So in water pipes and other things, water might get into the rust and cause it to drip off onto other things and cause rust stains. Here are some examples of the water making the rust run. In this example, it doesn't look like this object is actually rusting itself. It looks like something else rusted and the water caused it to drip onto here. If an item is made from pieces that are different metals, all those pieces are not going to rust at the same rate. As you can see with this car, this part and these parts are not rusted the same amount as the rest of the car. Rust will not always form in the same ways. As you can see in this bolt, it's coming off in tiny flakes, but on these chains it's very large flakes, so keep that in mind. Also, rust is often associated with old forgotten things or junkyards. So when you think of rust, you usually think of things that have a lot of rust, but actually a lot of everyday items have rust on it. Even if you just walk down the street, you can see maybe a street lamp will have a little rust at the bottom or things like that. So if you pay very close attention to your surroundings, your illustrations will be that much more authentic. This is an example of concept art from Fallout New Vegas video game that I think could use rust more effectively. This game takes place 204 years after a nuclear war, so these cars here have been out in the Mojave Desert for 200 years, and as you can see, they don't have any rust or scratches or anything on it. And even though they're in the desert, and they only get the Mojave Desert only gets half as much rain as San Jose per year, this would build up over time, over 200 years, obviously. And the weather, the sand and the wind would have scratched away paint. So that's something I think this artist could change to make this illustration more effective. These are just things to keep in mind when using Rust in your illustrations. Thank you.